There is a message that has been trying to reach you for a very long time. Not a text message. Not a letter. Not a phone call. Something much stranger. Something that has crossed silence, distance, confusion, missed opportunities, sleepless nights, and countless unanswered questions. And according to the energy surrounding this reading, that message carries the voice of someone deeply connected to your destiny. Your soulmate. Before we begin, pay attention to what happens in your thoughts during the next few minutes. Because the news that is coming through today is not ordinary. In fact, if this message reaches the right person at the right time, it could explain why certain events in your life have unfolded exactly the way they have. Your soulmate has been trying to send a signal. Not once. Not twice. Again and again. And heaven itself appears to have become involved. The strange part? The message is not what you think it is. Many people expect soulmate messages to be about romance. About relationships. About love. But what is appearing here goes much deeper. Because the first thing your soulmate wants you to know is this. They have never truly forgotten you. Even if you have never met. Even if years have passed. Even if circumstances pushed both of you onto completely different roads. There has always been a connection. An invisible thread. A thread that neither time nor distance has been able to break. And recently, something changed. A shift occurred. A moment happened. Perhaps while they were alone. Perhaps during a sleepless night. Perhaps during a difficult situation that forced them to look honestly at their life. But whatever happened, it caused them to think about you with unusual intensity. Almost obsessively. As if some unseen force suddenly reminded them that you exist. The energy shows them looking back. Reviewing choices. Reviewing mistakes. Reviewing opportunities they missed. And while doing so, one realization struck them harder than anything else. You were never meant to disappear from their story. That realization became so powerful that it turned into a prayer. A request. A desperate plea. A message sent upward. And that is where heaven enters this story. Because what they asked for was not wealth. Not status. Not success. They asked for one thing. A chance. A chance for destiny to reconnect what life had separated. Now pay close attention. Because the second piece of news is shocking. There are forces working behind the scenes right now that you cannot see. Conversations. Coincidences. Unexpected opportunities. Sudden encounters. Tiny events that appear random. But they are not random. Imagine thousands of puzzle pieces moving across a giant table. At first they look disconnected. Meaningless. Yet slowly they begin moving toward each other. That is exactly what appears to be happening. Your path. And their path. The distance between the two is becoming smaller. Much smaller. In fact, the energy suggests that events already started moving weeks ago. You may not have noticed. Most people never do. Because destiny rarely announces itself with fireworks. It arrives disguised as ordinary moments. A message. A meeting. A recommendation. A change of plans. A cancelled appointment. A delayed trip. A new opportunity. Small things. But those small things eventually create life-changing outcomes. And your soulmate appears to know this. Which is why they have been begging heaven for guidance. They do not want to miss the connection again. They do not want fear to win again. They do not want timing to destroy what was meant to happen. And now another revelation appears. One that might completely surprise you. Your soulmate has been carrying guilt. A tremendous amount of guilt. Not necessarily because they hurt you directly, but because deep down they feel they ignored something important. A feeling. An intuition. A sign. There was a moment in their life when they should have listened to their heart. Instead, they listened to fear. Or pressure. Or other people. And that decision has haunted them. They rarely talk about it. Most people around them have no idea. Yet the regret remains. Quietly. Constantly. Waiting. And recently that regret became impossible for them to ignore. The news they desperately want heaven to deliver is simple. But powerful. They want you to know that the story is not over. Read that again in your mind. The story is not over. What seemed finished may not be finished. What seemed lost may not be lost. What seemed impossible may not be impossible. Because there is movement happening. Real movement. And it is accelerating. The next message coming through is even more emotional. Your soulmate wants you to stop blaming yourself. There was a period when everything felt confusing. A period when answers never came. A period when silence seemed louder than words. And during that time, you may have wondered if you did something wrong. If you were not enough. If you somehow caused destiny to turn away. But according to this message, that belief is completely false. Many of the delays surrounding your connection were never your responsibility. They were lessons. Preparation. Growth. Necessary experiences that both of you needed before the next chapter could begin. Because had the connection happened earlier, it might not have survived. One of you was not ready. Possibly both of you. And that truth is important. Because the next stage requires a stronger version of both souls. A wiser version. A more mature version. A version capable of recognizing what truly matters. Now there is another secret emerging. And this one feels extremely significant. Your soulmate has changed. Not slightly. Dramatically. The person they were years ago is not the person they are becoming now. Life has humbled them. Life has tested them. Life has shown them things they never expected to learn. And those experiences have transformed their priorities. Things that once seemed important no longer matter. Things they once ignored now mean everything. Including you. Especially you. The energy grows stronger here. Almost urgent. As if the message cannot wait any longer. Your soulmate wants you to prepare yourself emotionally. Because when destiny starts moving, it often moves faster than expected. What feels impossible for years can suddenly change in a matter of weeks. What feels distant can suddenly become close. What feels silent can suddenly become loud. And when that shift begins, many people are caught completely off guard. Do not be surprised if unexpected communication appears. Do not be surprised if strange coincidences increase. Do not be surprised if names, memories, symbols, dreams, or familiar energies start appearing repeatedly. These are often the breadcrumbs destiny leaves behind. The signs that something bigger is approaching. Now there is one final revelation. And it may be the most important of all. The news your soulmate begged heaven to send you was never simply about them. It was also about you. Because while they were praying for a chance to reconnect, another message was formed. A message meant specifically for your heart. The message is this. Do not give up. Not on love. Not on your future. Not on the life you are meant to experience. There are chapters you have not seen yet. People you have not met yet. Moments you have not lived yet. Blessings you have not received yet. The current chapter is not the entire story. It never was. And your soulmate understands that now more than ever. They understand that some connections are written differently. Some connections travel through delays. Some connections travel through obstacles. Some connections travel through years of uncertainty. But when the timing finally arrives, everything begins making sense. Every delay. Every lesson. Every tear. Every unanswered question. Every strange coincidence. Everything. That is why the energy surrounding this message feels so intense. Because it carries hope. Not ordinary hope. The kind of hope that survives storms. The kind of hope that survives distance. The kind of hope that survives silence. And according to what is appearing here, your soulmate has placed that hope into heaven's hands. They have asked that somehow, some way, this message reaches you. That you remember your worth. That you trust the process. That you understand the connection is still alive. And that when the next chapter opens, you will recognize it. Not because someone forces you to. But because your soul will know. Your soul will remember. Your soul will feel the truth. And when that moment arrives, it may become one of the most unforgettable moments of your entire life. Because some messages are written on paper. Some messages are spoken through words. But the message your soulmate begged heaven to send was written somewhere far deeper. It was written where destiny, timing, and love finally meet. And according to everything appearing here today, that meeting point is getting closer than ever before. The message does not end there. In fact, what comes next is the part your soulmate was most desperate for you to hear. Because after asking heaven to deliver the first message, they continued speaking. Not with their voice. Not through a letter. But through the deepest intentions of their heart. And what emerged was something they had never admitted before. They are afraid. Not afraid of you. Not afraid of love. They are afraid of what happens if they lose the opportunity again. The energy around them shows someone who has spent a long time pretending to be stronger than they actually feel. People around them may see confidence, control, certainty. But underneath that image is someone carrying questions they rarely share. Questions about timing. Questions about destiny. Questions about whether they will ever get the chance to tell you everything they have been holding inside. And those questions have become louder recently. Much louder. Because something has awakened inside them. It feels like urgency. Like a clock that suddenly became impossible to ignore. Almost as if they woke up one day and realized that life moves faster than anyone expects. Years disappear. Opportunities vanish. People change. Circumstances shift. And they no longer want to spend their future wondering what could have happened. That realization created a powerful prayer. A prayer so emotional that it appears again and again in this message. Please let them know. Those words keep appearing. Please let them know. Please let them know they mattered. Please let them know they were never forgotten. Please let them know I still think about them. Please let them know the connection never disappeared. Please let them know there was always more to the story. The energy becomes very emotional here. Because there seems to be a memory attached to this. A specific memory. A moment that still lives inside their heart. Perhaps it was a conversation. A glance. A photograph. A place. A song. Something small that most people would overlook. Yet for them it became unforgettable. They revisit that memory more often than anyone realizes. Sometimes when they are alone. Sometimes when they cannot sleep. Sometimes when life becomes overwhelming. That memory reminds them of something important. It reminds them of possibility. And that possibility is what keeps them holding on. Now another revelation appears. This one feels unexpected. Your soulmate has gone through a season of transformation that very few people know about. There were battles they fought privately. Struggles they never discussed. Moments when they questioned everything. Their future. Their direction. Their purpose. Even their own worth. And during those difficult moments, one thought repeatedly appeared. You. Not necessarily your face. Not necessarily your name. But the feeling connected to you. The feeling of what could be. The feeling of what might still happen. The feeling of unfinished destiny. That feeling became a source of strength. A reason to keep moving. A reason to keep believing. A reason to keep becoming the person they were meant to become. And heaven seems to be acknowledging that effort now. Because the next message arriving is astonishing. Your soulmate believes that events are aligning. Not eventually. Not someday. Now. The word now appears repeatedly. As if invisible pieces are finally moving into position. Doors that seemed locked are beginning to open. Barriers that seemed permanent are beginning to weaken. Circumstances that once felt impossible are beginning to shift. And while they cannot see the full picture yet, they can feel the change. It is almost like standing near the ocean before a massive wave arrives. You cannot see the wave immediately, but you can feel its presence. You know something powerful is approaching. That is the energy surrounding this connection. Something powerful is approaching. Now pay close attention, because this next part feels like the true heart of the message. Your soulmate wants you to stop settling for less than you deserve. This may sound unrelated at first, but it is not. Because one of the reasons this connection experienced delays is that both souls needed to learn their value. Not through words. Through experience. Life had to teach lessons. Life had to reveal truths. Life had to expose illusions. And one of those truths is simple. You are not meant to chase people who do not appreciate you. You are not meant to shrink yourself for acceptance. You are not meant to abandon your worth to keep someone else's attention. Your soulmate sees that now. Perhaps more clearly than ever. And they want you to see it too. Because the next chapter requires confidence. Not fear. Trust. Not desperation. Faith. Not doubt. The energy intensifies again. Almost as if another secret has been waiting to emerge. And here it is. There appears to be a moment ahead that neither of you will expect. A moment that changes everything. Not because it is dramatic, but because it is real. Authentic. Honest. A moment where masks disappear. A moment where truth finally speaks. A moment where everything hidden becomes visible. Your soulmate has imagined this moment many times. More times than they would ever admit. They have replayed conversations. Imagined outcomes. Wondered what they would say. Wondered what you would say. Wondered whether destiny would finally give both of you the chance they have been hoping for. And according to this message, that possibility is becoming stronger. Much stronger. Now another image appears. An image of distance collapsing. Not necessarily physical distance. Emotional distance. The walls that once existed are beginning to fall. The misunderstandings that once created confusion are beginning to fade. The fears that once controlled decisions are beginning to lose power. And when those walls disappear, something extraordinary becomes possible. Clarity. Pure clarity. The kind of clarity that changes lives. The kind of clarity that removes years of uncertainty in a single moment. The kind of clarity that makes everything suddenly make sense. That clarity is part of the message your soulmate begged heaven to send. Because they know confusion has lasted long enough. Silence has lasted long enough. Waiting has lasted long enough. The time for understanding is approaching. Now there is one final section. And it feels almost sacred. The energy becomes calm. Peaceful. Certain. As if everything that needed to be said has already been spoken. Yet one last truth remains. Your soulmate wants you to know that love is not measured by how quickly something arrives. It is measured by what survives. What survives distance? What survives challenges? What survives growth? What survives time? And according to the message coming through today, this connection has survived far more than either of you realize. That is why heaven listened. That is why the message continued. That is why the signs keep appearing. Because some connections are not ordinary. Some connections leave fingerprints on the soul. And once those fingerprints exist, they never fully disappear. Your soulmate understands that now. Perhaps for the first time. And because they understand it, they made one final request. A final plea. A final prayer. Not for control. Not for guarantees. Not for certainty. But for opportunity. The opportunity for truth to find its way home. The opportunity for destiny to complete what it started. The opportunity for two paths to finally understand why they crossed in the first place. And as this message comes to its conclusion, one feeling rises above everything else. Hope. Powerful hope. The kind of hope that refuses to die. The kind of hope that remains alive even when circumstances say otherwise. The kind of hope that whispers that the best chapter has not happened yet. Because according to everything appearing here, the news your soulmate begged heaven to send you is not merely that they care. Not merely that they remember. Not merely that they still feel the connection. The real news is far bigger. The real news is that destiny itself may not be finished writing your story. And if that is true, then the next page could contain surprises greater than anything either of you imagined. The next page could contain answers. The next page could contain truth. The next page could contain reunion. The next page could contain the moment both souls finally understand why every delay happened exactly the way it did. And somewhere beyond today's uncertainty, beyond today's questions, beyond today's waiting, that page is already beginning to turn. Slowly. Quietly. But undeniably. And when it finally turns completely, everything may change.